Good evening.
Steve Kilbey of the church. Welcome to 69 Faces of Rock. How are you doing today?
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm a bit cold. We're in Chicago and it's a bit cold out there.
You have been in the middle of the tour. How is the tour going so far?
Really good. Getting better and better every night. Tonight should be a good night. It's a bit like when you talk to a football team, you know. How are you going to go tonight? Oh, we're going to stop them winning and we're going to win. So we are doing well. We're getting better and better. We're not doing huge venues, but we're selling out almost every night.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love the intimate shows.
Did you see we're getting really good reviews for our new album?
I wrote one.
Which one did you write?
69 Faces of Rock. I love the record. I love this album and I cannot wait to talk to you about it. So, the more I listen to the new album, I realize that what a massive leap forward you took musically. What would you attribute it to?
What?
What would you attribute it to?
My what?
The massive leap
what
forward.
do I attribute it to?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had a team of guys who were willing, who wanted to make this record, who wanted to be part of it, people who wanted to, people wanted to help me do it, instead of people I was fighting against, or people who weren't interested, or people who didn't think I should be in charge. So I had a team of very, very willing players. We just thought about it a real lot when we were writing the songs. We went over a lot of the songs. We thought about it. Can we change this? Can we change that? Everybody could play whatever instrument they liked. It wasn't like, oh, anybody could play and do whatever they liked. And at the end of the whole thing, I was like the editor. I was like a director of a film. I had all my specialists doing the stuff for me. In the end, it all came back to me, and I made it turn into that.
You know, when I listened to your last album, which I liked, but now I realize it was only a build-up to what came now.
The last album, I was massively disappointed in. Massively.
Why would that be?
I don't think I ever sat down and listened to it. It was so ordinary. It was so ordinary. Peter was making things very difficult in the studio. He was just very hard to work with, and it just brought things to a standstill. To make a record like this, you need everybody on board, and you need everybody on the same page, and you need everybody. You need people who want to do it. It's like, once again, like a football team. You don't want superstars. You want people who are prepared to be a team that can, go out there and work together. And on the last record, on Man, Woman, Life, that didn't happen. It was just arguing and fighting and just fucking around. So I guess with this record, I totally assumed control again. And then we had some really good people work on it. After it was finished, Daryl Thorpe, the guy who mixed it, who mixed Radiohead, and he's mixed a load of things. He came in and worked on this record. So we had a great new sound, wonderful sound that he brought to it. First record with Jeffrey Kane, he brought so much to this record. Ash Naylor's first record with us, on the lead guitar, he brought so much. So just had wonderful players and wonderful attitude, and they wanted this,
Now, it is also a concept album, right?
Yeah.
Why so late in your career, or why never before?
I don't know. it never occurred to me to really have one. I thought an album like maybe Priest Equals Aura was kind of touching on a concept. What else? No, that was probably the most concept-y ever. As we were making this album, I started to feel like it was a concept. I started to feel like I was singing stuff that I didn't understand, and I started getting this. I started getting the vision of the two people, the Eros Zeta, the musician. I started getting a feeling for Sun King Jong, this Korean scientist who invented this machine. I started thinking about them. I started getting a feeling about it, and it wasn't like one day I sat down and said, I'm going to do a concept album. And it wasn't like when we were making it, I didn't say, oh, this is a concept album. When it was all over, I sort of realized what it was, and then I sort of made it work. The songs that I couldn't understand how they could fit into the concept, I made them fit in. And I realized, it's funny, I saw this film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood the other day. I'd already seen it at the movies, but I saw it on the airplane, and there were parts of this film that didn't have anything to do with the story. For example, there was this part where Brad Pitt's playing a cowboy, and he sits down and he talks to this little girl, and they have this long, incredible conversation. Has nothing to do with the story or whatever. Have you seen the film?
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with it.
So nodding.
And I thought, and so that's what happens on this album. There are things that happen on the album that are nothing to do with the overall arc of the narrative. They're just like, for example, that song Flickering Lights, the fourth track on the album. To me, that's a song that Eros Zeta hears on a radio. He's going along in a cab, he's just arrived in Korea, he's been picked up from his hotel, he's being taken to the Hypnogogue for the first time, and a song comes on the radio. To me, that song's really important. And I realized after we'd written this song and it was recorded, I realized that the song he hears on the radio in the taxi is that song. So some of the things are kind of really small, just like Brad Pitt talking to the girl. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have anything directly to do with the record, but it sort of has it helps the feeling of the whole thing.
Can you explain the cover? I'm quite intrigued by the front cover. There's so much stuff going on, so busy. What does it all mean? What does it signify?
It means that the Hypnogogue's made from junk. It means that in the year 2054, the world hasn't gone up in flames. It's just become a broken down. The weather's fucked up. There's no spare parts. You know, it hasn't become a sleek and wonderful, fast nuclear world. It's become a world full of bits and pieces. And this woman has invented this machine, and she's made it all out of junk. She hasn't made it from the very best computers and stuff. She's found a whole load of old bits and pieces and put it all together. Plus, you know, it's not just a machine, it's also occult is involved, and magic, and drugs, and all kinds of weird shit. So I'm trying to show people that the Hypnogogue is not some beautiful, brand new, shiny machine, nor is it an app on a phone. It's just made up of old bits of scientific junk that she found, that was all that was left.
Now, your music, especially on the new album, often makes me think of paintings or even landscapes. Is that something you consider when you write? Do you hear similar opinions of people who listen to you? That it creates this incredible imagination.
Yeah. It's designed to do that. And when I first got into music, so long ago, when I was a kid, and when I learned to play, and when I started listening to all the records I really loved, I realized all of them made me think of other things. And most people would just go, oh, this music's making me think of other things, but I investigated myself and going, how's he doing that? I bought a T-Rex record when I was 16. I took it home and I listened to all the songs and I thought, it's like he's singing to me. It's like this guy who's never met me, somewhere else, in another place, he's singing these songs to me. He's saying the things I want to say. And I thought, and that amazed me. And then I went, how's he doing it? And then I looked at it and I thought about it and I listened to the record over and over and over. I listened to all the records I love and I go, why do I like this? How is this being done? And then I started to notice the way words and music can go together to create paintings or stories or atmospheres or dreams. And that's sort of become my specialty, is more than anything else in this whole world, I am a lyricist. I write lyrics, and my lyrics, I've worked on this. You have this line where it has to be perfect. You go that way and you're too much. It's too much. You do this, you do that, I hate this, blah, blah, blah. I'm, or you have meaninglessness. Like, I don't know, this doesn't mean anything, this is just all words thrown together. That right on this certain line that Mark Bolan knew, and David Bowie knew, and the Beatles knew, there's this line of ambiguity where if you can get it right, anybody who hears the record will go, he's speaking to me, but it has to be, it's very, very small margin for error, because if you say too much, then they won't feel it's for them, and if you don't say enough, they won't be even interested in trying, because they'll go, this is just nonsense. So it can't be nonsense, nor can it be fact. It has to be this other thing, where you imply all this stuff, and then people go, wow, he's written this for me. But it's just the way, I've just been working on this my whole life, like a scientist who's studying the latest disease. He's been working for 50 years on how to cure it. I've been working 60 years on music. How do you write this music to make people feel connected to you, and then it's sell records, and also because it's just the most wonderful feeling when you feel that. I still remember being 16, going home, putting that record on, going, how could he have written this? And I'm sort of trying to produce that feeling of amazement in people.
I'm going to get even deeper with you right now.
Yeah? Okay.
I think this is the turning point.
Okay.
On the other hand, there is this feeling of pleasant confusion, like my mind and heart open up to two different emotions at the same time.
Yes.
And the magic to it all, that both of those feelings like intersect and harmonize.
Yes.
That's what I get out of the new album.
Yes.
How do you explain that?
Yes. That's it. That's what you do. You give people happiness and sadness at once, and their heart and their mind go. And then suddenly, when the heart and the mind either agree or disagree, something else happens, some other feeling comes in. And that's why sad music can make you happy. You hear the saddest song, my baby left me, I got the blues, and you go, wow, that really makes me happy. But why? Guy's telling you something terrible, it makes you happy. Contradiction. So I'm throwing all these contradictions at you. It is confusing. It's like a dream. He doesn't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. It's like this crazy world. He's a fucked up singer. He can't write anymore. He wants to use this machine to get the songs pulled out. And it's all hallucinatory. And yes, weird things happen, and out of it comes pleasure. Look, I'm still not exactly sure how it's done, you know, but I really am always going for that. So a song is never, oh, this is a happy song. It's never a happy song, but it's never just a sad song either. It's like some confusing emotion that makes you feel, I don't know, triumphant.
Next question actually goes back to 1980s when I first saw you on MTV being in high school. And the funny thing is this question is even more relevant now than it ever was. How much of your soul are you giving away to those songs?
Everything and nothing. I'm putting 100% in, but there's none of me in that. That's not me. But yet it is me 100%. So once again, it's a kind of a contradiction. It's like it's everything, and yet it's not really me at all. So that's kind of weird as well. I'm putting everything into it, but I'm keeping everything back as well. I stand on stage, I'm putting everything into it, and I'm playing, and the music and people and the lights are going. Somewhere miles away is me standing there going, wow, you know, I'm not involved in this at all. And my fingers are playing and my voice is singing, but somewhere miles away I'm standing there observing it all. Fuck, this is strange.
Sure is. When I read the press release for the album, I noticed a quote from you saying that this is the most prog rock record you've ever done.
Yes.
Now, tell me about your prog rock roots and how it influenced the church.
Well, as you know, I'm pretty old, so I was there when prog rock was invented. I was there when the Yes album came out. I was there. I jumped in on Genesis with Nursery Crime, right? At the time, not 20 years later, and I love those records. There are some things about prog rock I don't like. I don't like when it sort of goes, I don't like all that. But what I did like was when they have these sort of absolutely grand moments, like an opera, or like symphonic music. They have these huge, Yes and Genesis were very good at, have these huge symphonic moments, like at the moment at the end of Foxtrot. Do you know that album?
Oh yeah.
And Supper's Ready. Mm-hmm. There's an angel standing in the sun.
Yep.
It's like, if you can get an experience more religious than that, I don't know where it is. It's like, it's total, whether you're a Christian or not, and I'm not a Christian, but to hear that, an angel standing in the sun, and she's crying in a loud voice, this is the supper of the mighty one, King of kings, Lord of lords, has returned to lead his children home. Take them to the new Jerusalem. And then the mellotron goes, and the guitar goes, and it's like, I'm having a religious experience. So that's the part of prog rock I'm going for. Those huge and beautiful moments. Not the sort of, not virtuosity. I mean, some of the players in my band are virtuoso players. I'm not a virtuoso bass player. Obviously not a virtuoso singer. But I think I know how to create this music so people can have those moments of like transcendence. Mm-hmm. No matter what they believe in, whether they believe in a God or not, I want my music to have a transcending feeling, and I want people to sort of walk out of there feeling so spiritual, like something really beautiful's happened.
My dad was really into music. when I was growing up. He had me at age 20 in '69. So he always had this reel-to-reel player playing at home, and yes, he would play stuff like Pink Floyd, Deep Purple, Genesis, yes, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Those sounds would always, fill the house. Now that music had a certain feeling.
Yes.
And the odd thing is, Church sounds nothing like the bands I just mentioned.
No.
But yet, when I listen to the Church, I get the same feeling, which means that DNA is present in me as a listener and you as a creator.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, how strange
that's
is that?
how it is, yeah. I am only all the things I listen to. I'm a machine. I walk through this world and I hear music I like and I go, I'm going to use that. I use that. I'll use that. I'll use that. I'll use that. And the same token I'm going, I fucking hate that. I fucking hate that. I fucking hate that. That's not going in. So the stuff that I hate, it's as important to me as the stuff that I love. When I see something I hate, I'm going, that nothing that's in that can ever go into my music. And yeah, I listen to all the same stuff your dad was playing, and loved it. And I guess it took a long time for that to, and the right players, for all this to come to fruition. I feel like all my life I've been trying to make that record. I mean, I've had a few. There's been some good ones before.
For sure.
I'm not saying they weren't, but I feel on this record it comes to fruition better than it ever did before.
Which brings me to my next question: is Hypnogogue your defining moment?
The final moment, defining. I think it is. Yes. As I sit here right now, I hope my next record's going to be better. And I hope I can do better than that. But as I sit here right now, if someone said, "What is your definitive record?" I would have to say, listen to the Hypnogogue. That's where it is the best example of it.
You've been on tour. You've been meeting fans. What opinions do you hear from the fans about the new album?
Well, fans aren't going to dare come up and say I hate it, are they?
No.
If I'm meeting them, they're paying $100 to meet me.
So those are diehards. Those are diehards.
Yeah,
I've met some of those fans.
Yeah, they're not gonna say they don't like it. Most of them love it. Most of them love it. They really do. They all say they do. I think they do. I think they get it. When we play the new songs on stage, they seem to like it. They don't seem to not want to hear the new songs. The new songs are all mixed in with the old songs. So I think it's been pretty successful.
Weren't you tempted to play the whole thing all the way through?
I am, and I will if I'm asked to.
I'm asking you now.
But if you're a concert promoter and you said, I have a venue, I want you to just come and play the Hypnogogue, I'd say absolutely. If I had a manager who said, I need you to go out and play the Hypnogogue around the world, just the Hypnogogue and nothing else, I'd go yes. However, at this stage, I feel with 43 years worth of music, I feel like I have to compromise. I feel like I have to cover all bases, and I have to show people the continuity in this work. That I started here and I've ended up here. That you can see you can see how I got from there to there. It's not like, say, David Bowie, who would just suddenly throw everything away and start something else. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm doing this now. I'm kind of more a continuity between everything I've always done.
Yeah, there's a clear path between all of the records, and you can see the clear progression.
Yeah.
Now, in the booklet, you thank Kip McClanahan, without whom this album would never have been possible. Who is he and why is he so important?
He put the money up. He's a friend of mine, he's a patron. I've been lucky to have 2 patrons. Every church record made since 2000 has been paid for by a patron, because we don't have We don't have any money to make records. We don't have a record company that could make records. So guys, two American guys who are both millionaires have gone, I've got everything I need. I've got my house, I've got my car, and I've got a job, and I make a lot of money. Who can I help? Just like guys in Italy, like 600 years ago, Botticelli and all those, Michelangelo. You know, some rich man would go, you know, boy, you're a great artist, but you can't do anything without money. I'll give you money and you paint stuff for me. So these guys go, you know, here's $50,000. Go away and make an album. That's what I want you to do. Because I've got, what are they going to do with it? And I would like to think I would do the same if I had a lot of money. If I had loads and loads of money and I saw someone I believed in struggling to do something that I thought was good, would like to think that I would do the same thing. I think it's a beautiful thing to have a patron, someone who believes in you and has faith. And you know, I talk to Kip all the time. You know, as I was making the record, you know, I'm having a bit of trouble and keep going and I need a bit more money. Yeah, I'm gonna put some more money in. And it's sort of like, so it's a lovely feeling to have a patron. And it's not like a record company. There's no strings attached. A record company's like, I'll give you some more money, but you're gonna have to sign this and the patrons are just like, here's the money, go away and do it. I don't want any money back. He doesn't want, if that record sold 5 billion copies, he wouldn't want any money. He just goes, it's yours, you did it. It's really wonderful that there's so many fucking villains out there.
Oh yeah.
People ringing up old people, trying to, you know, stealing and robbing and fraudulent transactions and all this shit. It's so nice to know in human nature that there are good people giving money away to people they believe in to go and make a record with no strings attached. I think that's marvelous. It would be an intolerable world if everybody was a fucking cutthroat ratbag just trying to make money, you know? And I think making money is the most boring motive for doing anything. When I feel, it's like having sex with a prostitute. It is. It's like, why would you pay to have sex with someone? And you know, they're just fucking me because I've paid them. I don't want that. You know, I want people on board because they love it. You know, I want my musicians to love what they're doing. I want to love it and I want the audience to love it. Money is necessary, but it's sort of not, it shouldn't be what it's all about.
Yeah. You have a new cast of players around you.
Yes.
Can you introduce them and tell me what they bring into the band?
I will. Our drummer, Timothy Poles, can't be here. He had visa issues.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't have the vaccinations. Good idea. In my opinion, good idea. I wish I hadn't fucking had them.
I didn't have them.
How'd you get in? They didn't look.
They didn't. Well, at this point, I think they kind of gave up and stuff.
But you live here all the time.
I live.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. You can't get in America if you haven't been vaccinated.
You're kidding me?
No.
Okay.
They're changing the rule. But they didn't change it in time for him to come. So he couldn't come. So he knew a young drummer and he trained him up. And he said, this is how you play this album. It gave him his samples. He gave him some of his equipment and he trained him up so he could come on tour with us. This guy is now so good, we now have 2 drummers. And if next time Tim can get in, if you come and see us, we'll have 2 drummers on stage.
Outstanding.
Because we love this guy, and he may not have a whole kit on the next tour. He might be playing pads and percussion, doing electronic stuff, but we will have 2 guys, dedicated percussionists. So that guy's name is Nick Meredith. Mm-hmm. He's from Australia, the new drummer. He's from Australia. He's very, very young. I think he's like in his 30s. He's very, very young. He's very, very good. on one lead guitar on this side, we have Ian Hogue, who joined 10 years ago when Marty Wilson Piper left. He was in Australia's biggest band ever. There was this band in Australia, they didn't really make it. Am I in the right?
Oh yeah.
There was a band in Australia called Powderfinger, named after a Neil Young song. They were the biggest band Australia's ever had. And they broke up, and he and I sort of knew each other. He was a fan of the church, and when Marty left, I rang him up and said, hey, he went, hi. I said, would you join the church? And he said, yes. I said, okay, bye, you'll be hearing from me. So he just jumped in. Jeffrey Kane I've been making records with. I made 2 solo records, Isadore. Have you ever heard those, Isadore?
Yeah.
So he and I have been making records, talking, been friends. He came in, he joined the band just as a player about 5 years ago, just to come on tour and play keyboards and guitar that the other guys couldn't do everything at once. And I asked him to join the band, bring all your expertise, and he's got a lot. He was in a band called Remy Zero, an American band that did quite well. So he joined the band, he brought in all very, very creative guy, very good at putting all the stuff together, and he had a huge influence on this record. And then the other guy is Ashley Naylor. He's on the other lead guitar, fantastic singer. He's got his own band in Australia. He's also like one of the most famous guitarists in Australia. So if you were a big pop star in Poland and you were coming to Australia to do a tour, and you said, I want to have all Australian musicians, I want the best musicians, probably Ash Naylor would end up in your band. Someone would say, oh, you need Ash Naylor on lead guitar. He's just like the most incredible lead guitarist and singer and lovely guy. So he put them all together, and very harmonious bunch of people. Everybody very friendly. There's no history. I don't blame the other guys for being so angry and bored and disgruntled. We'd been together for a long time. We'd been through a lot. I'm no angel. I'm not a good guy. I'm rude and stupid and bossy, and I know it all, and I get depressed, and I don't blame them for having had enough of me, and having also each other. Marty and Peter didn't like each other. None of us liked each other, and it was inevitable that eventually they would all leave. But I always felt, I thought of the church. The church is my band. I wrote those first 4 albums up until Heyday on my own. Like literally on my own, like everything. Not like, oh, I've got a bit of an idea, but like, here's a song and here's a cassette of how it should go. Have a listen. I've already figured out all of the parts. So I still feel this is my band, and whoever I want, I will have, and whoever I don't want, I won't have. For a long time, the line of democracy got blurred, and those guys started. Plus, I was a heroin addict. So when I was a heroin addict, I really lost control, and I was like, I guess I abandoned my post as the captain, and the band was just all at sea, and nobody really knew. So I'm not blaming them, and I'm not saying I was a good guy and these guys were idiots and they fucked up. But in the end, we just had too much of each other. We're all sick of each other, and we didn't like each other. There was a time in the beginning when we had good times, and I know that there were years where there were some good times. But in the end, after all that, like a couple being married, you know, starts off good and ends up bad.
So with regards to the departed players, what does it take to stay in this band?
To stay?
Yeah.
To want to be in it. They didn't want to be in it. That's the thing. They didn't want to be in the band. They didn't want to they wanted to sing and play and write their own fucking songs, and I'm not interested in playing anybody else's songs. I don't play other people's songs. I only play my own songs. They just to stay in the band is just to go on working hard and wanting to be in it. I would never change it now. But if someone said, "Oh, I'm unhappy," I'd say, "Well, leave, and I'll get another new person and keep on going."
Tell me about the coldest songs from the new album, which is Antarctica.
Are we ready?
No, but I'm just checking in.
What?
No, not yet, but I'm just checking in.
How long have I got?
15 minutes.
Okay.
I mean,
all right. It's really strange. This is how it works. We had a piece of music, right? We had a piece of music, and the music's playing, and I sit down with my piece of paper, just like you've got, and a pen, and I listen to it, and the first thing that comes into my head, Antarctica, it just came into my head. And then I go, that's where he's from. Because in 2054, that's the most inhabitable country on Earth, is Antarctica. And that's where he was born and where he's raised. So it just occurred to me. I haven't been there. I've been invited to go there and play, and I looked into it. It was like you go and play in some shed, and you got to stay on this boat, and you got to play on this shed for all these scientists and stuff. It doesn't. It's far more interesting. Antarctica is far more interesting as a distant concept than when you're sitting in a nice warm room than it is when you're actually there. In summer, the average temperature is 0, and that's summer. So it's a very interesting place if you're not there. It's a bit like the Sahara Desert, or a rainforest in South America. Great to read about or watch a show about and stuff. You don't really want to be there yourself,
No, the funny thing is, years ago you had a song named Pangea.
Pangea. Yeah.
Like, is there any relation? Because it's kind of a continental drift?
No. Once again, we had this music, and they go, okay, what are you going to write over the top? And I sit there and the answer just comes down. I sing. I don't think it through. It's just sort of like, what do I want to sing? And then suddenly, Pangea. I don't know why I was singing that. And then I wrote another song, I don't know if the Panthalassic Sea.
Okay.
It's on a solo album to go with Pangea. The Panthalassic Sea was the sea that surrounded Pangea when the whole world, supposedly, was just one continent. There was just one big sea as well, the Panthalassic Sea.
Finally, it's interesting how it all connects, whether it's solo or the band.
It's
the mind.
Well, I tell you what. I don't write songs about cars and girls and drinking and fighting and watching TV. I don't write songs about being young or being old. I write songs about fantastic things, like fantastic things that never happened, fantastic, distant, far away places, and it's like, what do you think of that David Bowie song, Warsaw? I don't know how you pronounce it. How do you say Warsaw in?
Warsaw, Warszawa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you heard the David Bowie song?
Yes.
He on just syn- Does he conjure up the feel of Warsaw with that?
Well, the funny thing is, he kind of captures the feel of Warsaw when it was communist.
Yes.
Whereas now that city is a lot more vibrant and alive.
Yes.
But at the time when he was there, he totally captured it.
Yeah.
There was another musician who also played in Poland, electronic musician named Klaus Schulze.
I know him.
And basically what he did when he toured Poland back in '83, I suspect that he was just walking around each town, and then when he played live, he improvised and he gave you the sound of that town back to you.
How do they do it?
Yeah, I mean within one day, and they actually released a record. And I'm listening to this, I'm like, that sounds like the coal mining city. It's
like banging the hammers.
Yeah. How did he get that? But he did.
Klaus Schulze.
Yeah, he passed away recently, unfortunately.
Was he Polish?
He was not. He was German. But I think he did some records with Lisa Gerard from
Dance. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I try and do. I try and summon up a place that I probably haven't even been to, you know, with music. It's such a strange thing. I don't know how it works. It's a mystery. How can you... But if someone sat me down and said, I want you to write a piece of music that summons up the Sahara Desert, I'd have a go. I'd try and... What is the essence of that, you know? What is the essence of Antarctica, or what is the essence of Korea, you know? Places I've never been. I would try and... you know, I made an album with another guy in Australia, a solo album, Songs from Another Life, where I tried to summon up the music of the Assyrians and the Phoenicians and the Greeks and the Romans. I tried to, using just modern instruments. I don't fucking know. Nobody knows what that music's, you know, so where I get it from is, I used to go and see those biblical epics with Charlton Heston, Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments, and the biblical music they used to have, when the Pharaoh would appear, or when the girls dancing, they're sort of like, and it all goes round in my head, and then, you know, 30 years later I go, I want to make an album of ancient sounding music. It's all fucked up and mixed up, because I'm copying Hollywood's idea. Just like on Happy Hunting Ground, on Heyday, I'm doing Hollywood's idea of what they think American Red Indians would do. You know what I mean? Like boom, 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 boom.
Because that's the point of reference.
Yeah. So I don't know. I use music and words to try and summon up things I don't really know about. And you know, I'm not an expert on anything. I'm just a musician, but I sort of my expertise is to try and bring things that I'm really interested. I'm really interested in all this weird stuff. I'm not interested in cars and girls and drinking tequila. I'm interested in magic and the afterlife and Hindus and Greek mythology and dreams and subconscious, and I always have been. When I was a kid, I was reading Lord of the Rings and the Chronicles of Narnia and all these amazing books. It just left me feeling like when I become an artist, that's what I want to do. I want to create fantastic worlds out of however I can do it. Not to be someone who chronicles the mundane.
Thank you.
It was great meeting you, mate. It really was. I really enjoyed that. Best questions ever.